welcome to another episode of the Park to Park podcast, where we compare theme park offerings from coast to coast. We don't always see eye to eye, but in the end, we will try. I'm your host, CJ, and I'm joined again by my sister, Alli. And Alli, I'm sorry, I'm laughing because I just noticed your headset is like getting jankier by the day. Like one side looks like it has yarn coming out of it. What is happening?
You're correct. It does have yarn coming out of it. So as you are aware, I recently flew to Florida. But we're going to talk about that actually in a few minutes. So as I'm sitting in the Austin airport getting ready to board my flight, I pull my headphones out of their case and all of a sudden they're in two pieces in my hands. Which is not an ideal thing when you really want to wear your noise-canceling headphones on the flight. So I went to the desk to the gate agent, and I held up my headphones and I said, "Please, do you have any tape?" She looked through every single drawer and she did not have any tape. And I looked over at my suitcase and I said, "I'll improvise." And this piece of yarn was tied to my suitcase to help identify, the quick identify, you tie a piece of ribbon or whatever to it. It wasn't the only thing, it's the quick identifier. So I said, okay, I can make this work. So I untied the yarn from my suitcase and I tied them together and it has held up so far.
Nice. Well, okay. I think the long-term solution here is you just get a new headset.
Okay, so I have a new pair of headphones and I really don't like them. But I feel like I'm just going to have to end up using them eventually. I use these at work, but normally my background is like blurred and it blurs this part of it. So nobody at work has noticed yet.
No. Okay, well, maybe next time you'll be wearing a new headset, but enough
about
I
could go back to cat ears. I do have the cat ears.
You could. Let's move on from headset talk and stay tuned to next episode to find out what headset she's using. But we have a little trip report to talk about.
Yeah, you say little, but I'm looking at it and it's like, oh, we got party of 12, party of 12, party of 9, party of 11, Mark, party of 6. Like there was a lot of people.
Yeah, so let's explain how this trip came to be. Basically, our grandmother, one of them, is not doing that great, so our extended family came to visit, essentially, from California. But it's not just like one family, because there are cousins who are not that much younger than us. The oldest one isn't. So he's married. So it was you came out. Mm-hmm. My family of 4 was there. Our mom and dad were here. And then our dad's brother, so our uncle, his wife, they combined have 6 kids, and one of them is married. So they were a party of 9. Yes. And then while all this was going on, my kids took turns having the stomach flu. So that meant that sometimes it was just me. Sometimes it was just me and one kid. My husband still had to work if it was a weekday, and he got sick too during all this. So my family wasn't fully present for this trip. But yeah, we had our youngest person. The party was 12.
Other than your children.
Other than my children, yes.
Yeah.
12 years old all the way up to, early 60s.
Yeah.
So it was a big group. Do you have anything else to say?
It was a big group. I had to work for 2 of the 4 park days, and I went home after the 3rd park day. So, no, yeah. I don't actually have a lot to contribute until we start talking about mini golf and then Epcot.
Okay, yeah. So we'll start at Magic Kingdom. This day we were a party of 12. I was there that day with just my daughter because my son had thrown up the day before at school, so he stayed home. But we got group 1 for Tron, which was great. And then we went to Space Mountain. It was like a 30-minute wait or so. One member of our party is pregnant and the others didn't want to do Space Mountain. So while a group of us did that, the others did People Mover and Buzz Lightyear.
Also, Violet's not tall enough for Space Mountain, so
not tall enough for these. And then we went over to Little Mermaid as a group and Small World, and then we had lunch at Pinocchio Village House. Which, by the way, Pinocchio Village House was hopping. It was so hard to find a place to sit, and thank the Lord, by some miracle, we found 3 tables in a row with 4 seats each. The restaurant was packed, and all of a sudden I was like, "These 3 tables are open. Take them!" So that was good. Then after lunch, we did Haunted Mansion, and the line was super long. That was like a 30 to 40 minute wait. After that, we had a Dole Whip break because who doesn't like Dole Whips? Then we did,
Violet.
yeah, I gave a bite to my daughter and she immediately spat it out. So that went well. Then we did Tiki Room and Big Thunder and Monsters Inc. Laugh Floor, where my uncle was selected to be Mike when they did the reenactment of the Monsters Inc. Storyline. And then from there, me and my daughter left, and one of my cousins left because his flight was later that evening. So I drove him to the airport. And then after that, the rest of our family stayed and did Jungle Cruise and Pirates, I believe, and they did some shopping too.
So sounds like a very full day.
Yeah, it was. And we didn't use G Plus. We didn't use individual lightning lane. My son was not there, so we didn't use disability access. The only disability access, quote unquote, that we got was with Big Thunder. Our mom's in a electric wheelchair thing, and that one's not wheelchair accessible. So we went through the exit on that one. And they typically issue a return time for that anyway. So.
And then question on that. I know there's a limit on the number of people with the DAS pass. When it's not a wheelchair accessible queue, is there a limit on the number of people in your party?
I actually don't know. When we did that, we were, let's see, me, Mom, Sean, Kyle, Emma, Frank, Sophia. There's 7 of us.
Okay. I feel like if the limit was 6 and you have a party of 7, they'll just hand wave that.
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, we split up. We jammed in 3, 3, and 1.
Oh,
so
boy.
It was fun. We were in the back row. It was fun. It was fun.
Why wouldn't you do 3, 2, 2?
Because why not?
Okay. That's who sat alone?
Mom.
Okay.
This is one of the highlights of the trip for me, honestly. And I know I say trip, I was not on vacation, obviously, but when you have people who haven't been to the parks in a really long time, or it's their first time, and you get to go with them, it feels like vacation.
Yeah. So that was so give me one highlight and one low light of Magic Kingdom Day other than stuffing the Big Thunder Prayers.
A big highlight was just taking people who haven't been there in so long. That was really fun. It's always, they're from California, so they're more familiar with Disneyland. I think the last time any of them were in Walt Disney World was in the year 2000 when we did that trip together.
Yep.
And others hadn't been ever. So it was just fun to see the park through their eyes for the first time. Low light, I would say.
Sorry, others hadn't even been born yet.
Yes, true. Anyways, low light for me would be the wait time at Haunted Mansion. It was just crazy long, and it's uncomfortable when you are about to enter the room and you're sitting there or standing there jammed into a corral. I really don't like that. That's really uncomfortable for me. Mm-hmm. But yeah.
All right. The next day you went to Animal Kingdom. Let's talk about Animal Kingdom, CJ.
Yes. So this time my daughter went, my son went, he was well, so he went, but we lost a cousin. So one cousin had gone home and my son traded in, so we were still a party of 12. Yeah, we got a little bit of a late start that day. The West Coast people were a little jet lagged, and then we had a full day at Magic Kingdom, so kind of hard to get up early. But our first stop was the safaris, which was a lot of fun. And then afterwards, since my son was with us, I was booking stuff on disability access and just trading magic bands around, essentially, because I wasn't going to add everybody as a guest because that's just silly. I don't want to clog up my Disney experience with that. But my parents were with us, so we just traded around magic bands, essentially. So while we were on the safaris, I booked Navi River Journey through disability access. And while 4 of us did Navi River Journey, others went over to the Gorilla Trail. And then we all met up for lunch at Satuli Canteen. And then afterwards, we did Expedition Everest, some of us on disability, others through the single rider line. Then we took an ice cream break and went over to the Finding Nemo show. The ones who did single rider ended up waiting longer for Everest than those who were on disability. So we weren't sure if we'd all make it into the same Nemo show. Some of us, we all did make it to the Nemo show. Some of us sat in one section, and the ones who showed up last minute were way in the back. But we were all in the same show. Then after that, some of us did Dinosaur. And then afterwards, me and our cousin who's pregnant and my daughter went to go meet Mickey and Minnie, while the others went and did some shopping. And then we left the park.
Sounds like a very full day. I
It
worked
was.
and
Yeah.
I had a sub from Publix for lunch.
Mm. I
And
mean,
I had a meeting that started at 5:30 Eastern that day.
nice. Well,
No,
you
it
got some of the
wasn't.
Florida experience at the pub sub.
Yeah.
It's
But
pretty good.
we did get to all go mini golfing. Well, I say all. There was 9 of us who got to go mini golfing together.
Yes, this was all the cousins, all of the, not my kids, but our generation
Yeah.
cousins. Yeah, party of 9. So where did we go mini golfing?
We went to Fantasia Gardens. Sorry, I'm having to plug in my computer. It just went into power save mode. So if this becomes cursed, it's my fault.
Okay. All right. So yeah, we went to Fantasia Gardens, and where is that exactly, Allie?
You're asking me like I know these things. It's like over by the Swan.
Yeah, it's by the Swan Reserve, the new resort that's over there.
Yeah. So I took a group of 4 in grandma's car and you took a group of 5 in your husband's car, and we
Yeah.
ended up parking in different places, and our parking spot was definitely the winner. Like, I saw you
Okay.
guys turn around and I was just going, at that point I had followed you guys in, and at that point, like, I was just doing what Google Maps told me to do, and they said Google Maps said turn in here and this is where you want to park. And you guys turned around and I'm like, interesting choice. But I turned into that parking lot and I got my little ticket and I found the like 20-30 spots that say mini golf only. And I took one of those.
Okay, so here's what my thinking was on this. I did research beforehand. Whenever I go someplace new, I always research the parking situation because it stresses me out, and I don't want to be stressed out when I get there. So
Girl, same.
I looked up where to park for this, and I think the information I was finding was from before the Swan Reserve was open, because it was
Mm.
telling you, oh, just park over here and they'll reimburse you. And now I know there's like reserved parking at the Swan Reserve for mini golf. So we got our park, like we had to walk across the street. It was almost a 10-minute walk. It was a pretty long walk, actually. And the girl at the booth was like, "Is this from the Swan?" And we were like, "Yeah." And she goes, "We don't cover parking there, but I'm going to give you the stamp. And if you run into any trouble, just ring the buzzer and talk to somebody, and hopefully they'll let you through." And we were like, okay. So, and we were like, whatever, we'll just pay it when we leave. It's not a big deal. So when we exited the parking lot, like Devin pushed the button and was like, "Oh, we were mini golfing," and they're like, "Oh yeah, just go on through." And it was no big deal. So something
So
tells me they probably get that a lot.
when we exited, we had a QR code to scan on our parking ticket, and everything I did, the QR code did not scan. Nothing worked.
Oh,
So
okay.
I pushed the help button. Like, I tried folding this ticket, I tried like shoving it in, I tried holding it differently. I ended up pushing the help button and they just opened up the gate for us. So our
Yeah.
parking was covered, but also it wasn't scanning. So
Yeah, this is really weird because at the Winter Summerland golf course, there's like no problem with parking. They have their own parking lot, and then Blizzard Beach is right next door for overflow parking for that.
right.
So it's not, and Blizzard Beach has free parking, so it doesn't matter. So yeah, the parking at Fantasia Gardens is a little weird. Just be prepared for that. I think honestly, your best bet is if you're a resort guest, just take transportation to any one of the boardwalk resorts and walk over there. Um, or park at Hollywood Studios, take the Skyliner. No, I'm sorry, take the boat to Swan and Dolphin, or walk. If it's nice weather, you can walk all the way over there from Hollywood.
All right.
So,
I
yeah.
believe you.
Yeah. All right. What did you think of the golf course? Because you and I have golfed at Winter Summerland before, but not
Right.
this one.
So I really liked the theming on this one. I don't want to say I liked it better than Winter Summerland because I do really love Christmas, but I did think this was really well themed. Some of the effects, one in particular, scared the bejesus out of me. But and then some of the effects also just they didn't seem to be working or working properly. But I thought the theming was well done, and I would have liked to have watched Fantasia before going. Like, obviously, I've seen Fantasia before, but I would have liked to have seen it more recently before going here.
That's a really good point because I feel like there were a lot of maybe not Easter eggs, but a lot of references to the
Mm-hmm.
Fantasia film that maybe I'd forgotten about. I did like the theme here. I thought it felt more traditional Disney, whereas Winter Summerland is more like comical Disney, I guess.
I feel like Fantasia Gardens is more traditional Disney versus Winter Summerland is more traditional mini golf.
Okay, that makes sense. I would agree with you on that. I thought this course was more challenging than Winter Summerland.
I think so we were a party of 9. You cannot have a group of 9 doing mini golf. So we broke into a group of 5 and 4. You were in the group of 5. I was in the group of 4. I think the biggest challenge that my group faced was not knowing how to mini golf. I was literally teaching them, this is like, you don't want to like, don't bend your elbows and like rip it. Like I'm literally teaching them how to putt to play mini golf. One cousin got hit in the leg with a flying golf ball. I think we lost like 3 golf balls within the first 3 holes. I almost got hit in the face with a golf ball. It was probably within 6 inches.
Yeah, I almost got hit too for my group.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest challenges was that our cousins are really, really bad at mini golf.
I wouldn't say bad, I would say inexperienced, because by the end they were getting the hang of it.
But yes, that's fair.
I think this course, like, there are some steep hills to hit the ball up. I was like kind of surprised.
Yeah, there were.
So I think Winter Summerland is more beginner friendly and more kid friendly versus Fantasia Gardens is a step up from that in terms of difficulties. And they actually have a second course there that looks like a real golf course with like sand traps and stuff, but it's shrunk down to be miniature sized. And I heard that one is even more of a challenge. So, I mean, I'm curious to try it out, but I don't think our group is ready for that.
This group needs to go back to Winter Summerland and do a couple rounds there before trying Fantasia Fairways.
Yes. I mean, it was still a lot of fun, and I highly recommend, no matter which golf course you're going to, you need to make reservations.
Yes.
Because we basically, we skipped the line. So.
Yep, and had a great time.
Yeah. Okay, the next day was Epcot.
And tell me if my math is right on this, that we were a party of 11?
So, me, Felix, you. I'm sorry, my kids are trying to break into my office, so if you're hearing weird things, I'm very sorry. Even though I told my husband I'm recording, so please stop. Okay, so me, Felix, you.
That's 3. Mom and Dad make 5.
Mom and Dad. We had aunt, uncle.
No.
No.
They didn't show up until lunchtime, remember?
Okay, oldest cousin, wife, middle cousin, and then the 3 younger ones. Yeah.
So 11. Okay, cool. Yes. Yeah, party of 11.
Yeah, that's a big party. And I mean, we were down 1 from the previous days, but it's still a big party with a lot of things to consider. And remember, one of them was pregnant, and then you have my son who's picky about stuff. So It was just like a weird mix of people, but it was fun. Why don't you start off with, well, we kind of broke off into groups because our oldest cousin and his wife had to leave the park by noon or something?
Noonish.
To get to the airport. So I took them with the disability pass and Felix to go do other things while you guys did other stuff. So go over your day.
Well, we all started out together, minus Dad, Felix, and pregnant cousin, to do Guardians of the Galaxy. So a party of 8 went over. We were group 1 for Cosmic Rewind, and I broke the streak, and we got a song that was not September. Finally, that was great. You and me and 2 of our cousins were in the back car, which ended up really perfect. And then group of 4 in the car in front of us. So that was lots of fun. My face was fantastic in the ride photo. So was Emma's. Great time.
Yes.
And then as a group, the 11 of us went over and did the 3 Caballeros ride.
Mm-hmm. And that's kind of where we split for the day.
Yes. That said, each group did Frozen next. You guys just did it on DAS, and we did it because there was a 30-minute wait, which is unheard of. So
Yeah. So from there, I'll go over our day because our day finished up before yours did. So me, Felix and my cousin and his wife wandered through World Showcase. We made a stop to look at paintings in the American Adventure Pavilion that George W. Bush had done, so that was pretty cool. And then we stopped in Germany for a treat. I don't know, we just kind of looked around at stuff and stopped where we felt like it. And then we did Remy's Ratatouille adventure via Disability Access, which my son hadn't done in a while, and he did okay on it. He wore the glasses the whole time, which is a big step for him because he doesn't like things on his head or his face, so it was good. And then we headed over to the Land Pavilion, but on the way there, we stopped for fish and chips and poutine. And then my son wanted to go home, so I took him home.
Yeah. So our day kind of followed the same course. We meandered through World Showcase. We stopped in the China Pavilion, did not do the show at that time, but our cousins are Chinese, so wanted to stop in China for a little bit. Left China, kept meandering a little bit more, stopped in Germany for treats, and we became the family of the day.
That's so cool.
It was really random, but we were ordering treats, and a couple of the cousins, like, they placed their orders, and they kind of wandered off to go look at the shop, and the guy at the cash register was like, we need everybody to come back. So we got the cousins, everybody gathered around, and they had us taste their caramel popcorn, and then they declared us the family of the day and the official caramel popcorn taste testers. They gave us 2 free bags of caramel popcorn, and they put a certificate in nice. The at the shop that said the Martin family is the family of the day. So that was pretty cool.
You know what's funny? When I was there earlier in the day with our other cousin and his wife, I saw that certificate sitting there, and I was like, oh, I didn't know they did family of the day, but there was no name written on it yet. So it was like a premonition that you guys were going to get it, I guess.
Yeah, it was real life foreshadowing.
Yeah. Yep.
So shortly after that, we were enjoying our treats outside Germany, and a cast member pointed out a hidden Mickey to us, which was pretty cool. But we heard from you that we needed to kind of hustle over to Living with the Land. So we hustled over to Living with the Land. We met up with you guys. You and Felix left, but the rest of us did Living with the Land together. And then Mom's chair broke getting out of Living with the Land. Yeah, did you not hear about this part?
No.
So we exit the boat, and the rest of us were hanging out outside the gate area, and I keep hearing this beep, beep, beep every time Mom is trying to turn on her scooter. Like, 2 other boats have emptied at this point, and it just hasn't, I don't know what happened, but Mom's scooter just bit the dust, apparently. It was not living with the land. It was dying with the land. So at that point, Mom and Dad were going to leave to take our oldest cousin and his wife to the airport. So once they got Mom's scooter at least rolling, it was not powered. I think the scooter became Dad powered. So what we ended up doing was I took the other 4 cousins and I said, I took them most of the way there, and then I pointed and I said, that is Mission Space. Walk towards that ride, right on green side. I will meet you guys at the exit. Because my suitcase was in Mom and Dad's car, and it needed to not be in Mom and Dad's car. So I exited the park. Go ahead.
Side note, Mom and Dad were leaving on a road trip from Epcot to, I don't know, someplace else in Florida, and you were leaving for the airport that night, so you couldn't keep your stuff at their house.
Yep.
And yeah.
So I met Mom and Dad in the parking lot, got my suitcase out of their car, went and found your husband's car that the cousins were borrowing for the day, put my suitcase in their trunk, or in that trunk, went back into the park, and then met the cousins at the Mission Space exit. Yeah, so that was a lot of, that probably added 2,000 extra steps to the day, which was so much fun. So great. I was so sweaty. So then we heard from our aunt and uncle, parents of the cousins, that they were heading into Epcot. So cool. We met up with them at Connections Cafe, I think, and we mobile ordered lunch. We did not do this efficiently. We should have mobile ordered and then gone and waited gone on Spaceship Earth together. But we mobile ordered inside Connections Cafe and then stood there for 20 minutes waiting for our food to be ready.
Oh gosh.
Which was fine. It's fine. So had lunch with them. Aunt and uncle left immediately after lunch because Aunt was not feeling good all of a sudden. So then we were down to a party of 5. So, party of 11, party of 9, party of 5, or actually party of 4, party of 7, party of 5. So,
Yes.
math.
Yes.
So I was very scared to be put in charge of the remaining cousins because while I recognize that I am the most well-equipped of everybody who's remaining to navigate them throughout Epcot, boy, World Showcase goes in a circle. That's about all I got. I'm not very good at navigating the East Coast parks, but I got them through. It was good. This time we went and we did the China show. We spent about like 15 minutes before the show looking at the stuff about like Shanghai Disneyland and just kind of absorbing the air conditioning because we were all very hot. And then we did the China show, which I forgot was Circle Vision. And oh my gosh, they really need to update the China show.
Well, funny you should say that because like 5 years ago they announced that they were going to, and here we are.
Then they haven't yet. Cool.
Yes.
Cool.
Yes.
Cool. They really need to follow through on that. So then we kept walking through World Showcase. I offered up, do you want to do the America show? And I kind of summed it up as American history in 20 minutes. They were like, nah, we good. We got school for that. Like, okay, cool. That's fine with me. We went to Japan and I said, you guys have 20 minutes to shop. And we will not be spending more than 20 minutes in this store. And we spent 19 minutes in that store.
Nice.
So that was perfect.
What was the reason for the time limit?
Mom told me that if I did not put a time limit, that they would spend forever shopping.
Okay, fair.
And a lot of our cousins are very, very into anime. So the Japan store was something that I really had to put a limit on because you can get sucked in deep in the anime world there. Right. Kept wandering through World Showcase, got distracted by rain and had to pull out the ponchos. I did not pull out a poncho. I think I made the right call there. I felt great. The rain felt amazing and everyone else was really nervous about it. We went over to Remy's and decided that a 75-minute wait in the rain wouldn't be worth it. But I told them that they are not leaving this park without going on Spaceship Earth. So we went on Spaceship Earth. By the time we got off of Spaceship Earth, it was no longer raining, and Moana Journey of Water walkthrough had reopened because it was no longer raining. So we walked through that, and then we left.
Yeah, and you took my husband's car to drop the kids off at the Airbnb, correct?
Yes. And then I met you at your house.
Right, you drove to my house, yeah. So another layer of complication for this whole thing was the family that was visiting, they rented a van, and then they borrowed my husband's car. My husband works from home, so it's like, whatever, we don't use the car that often, go ahead and use it. The rental car that they had broke down that day at Epcot. So our uncle had to go get that figured out. But when you're shuffling people around between an Airbnb, the medical facility where our grandma was, and Disney parks and our house, it's and like mini golf and restaurants, it's like a lot of shuffling going on, and it's very complicated. Yes. It's logistically complicated, but that was the end of them borrowing my husband's car. And then they were done with that because one of our other cousins left that day as well, I believe.
At that point, they had enough chairs and enough seats in the car to match the number of butts that needed seats.
Yes. And I drove you back to the airport that night, and we had dinner. You and me and Felix had dinner beforehand.
Yeah, I don't remember where we ate, but the salmon was delicious.
So we went to, I messaged Allie like, hey, we can go back to the park if you want. We can hang out here. We can go grab dinner somewhere. And you're like, yeah, let's go to a sit-down restaurant. So I looked at what was available, and I got Olivia's Cafe at Old Key West for a party of 3. You had the salmon.
Yeah, it was the special of the day, and it was really good. Would order again in an absolute instant. So good.
And I had the shrimp scampi, which is great because I had been craving it for a really long time. So I was really excited for that. But remember the bread they served with dinner?
Yeah.
And the butter?
Yeah.
It was so good.
It was very fluffy. All of it was very fluffy.
Yeah, but the butter had some other flavoring in it. Wasn't it like a lime coconut butter or something like that?
Something like that. I want to say coconut.
Yeah, it was like very sweet, but really good.
And it wasn't overpowering. It was like a very mild flavor as well.
Right, right. So the next day, we were doing Hollywood Studios, and it was just me because my husband had gotten sick the night before, and so did my son. Like, there was more illness going around the house. I did not want to bring my daughter with me because she's not tall enough for anything except for like 2 or 3 rides. And I was like, I'm not bringing her. So I ended up getting Genie Plus for the family. It was only 6 of us. I got Genie Plus for everybody just so we could guarantee ourselves getting on some rides that day because Hollywood Studios is kind of a hard park to do. But I made sure everybody was there at rope drop because we were going on Rise of the Resistance. There was no question about it.
And how many people were in your party?
6. I think 6. I'm pretty sure I said 6 like 3 times.
Okay, yeah, you did. Sorry. I was trying to count and figure out who were they.
It was aunt, uncle,
you,
me,
and then the 3 youngest cousins.
and the 3 younger cousins, yeah.
Because middle cousin left that morning at like
Yes.
7 a.m.
Yes. The
Okay.
boys had all gone.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So, first thing we did was rope drop Rise of the Resistance, which everybody loved. It was great. And then we did Smuggler's Run on single rider. The 4 of us kids, I call myself a kid, but it's because my uncle was there. So the 4 of us kids did Smuggler's Run on single rider. And it worked out that me and the youngest cousin got to be engineers together on that. Next,
Excellent.
we did Standby for Toy Story Mania, which they had all remembered from California. Those who had been on it remembered it.
Mm-hmm.
Then we had a few minutes to kill before our Genie Plus reservation time for Runaway Railway. So we walked through One Man Stream. We discovered our youngest cousin didn't know that Walt Disney was a real person.
Oh, yeah. Oh my gosh. No, this came up at Epcot.
Yeah. So I was like, perfect. We have some time to kill. One Man Stream. Let's go. Like, this is Walt Disney. He was real. He was a real guy. So yeah, we did that. And then Runaway Railway, which everybody really loved. And then we had lunch at 50's Prime Time. Since it was only a party of 6, it was pretty easy to get a sit-down reservation. We ate at 50's Prime Time, and it was so good. It was so funny. Our waitress was excellent. Then my aunt and uncle left, so I was in charge of the 3 cousins who were there. So a party of 5. No, 4. Sorry, 4. And we booked a Star Tours Genie Plus, which we walked right onto. Then we did Tower of Terror via Genie Plus. And then we watched the Indiana Jones show via Genie Plus. Unfortunately, due to some lightning in the area, they cut the show short, but we did get to see one very big explosion, so that was cool.
And it was not caused by lightning.
Correct. And in between all that, we did some shopping here and there and picked up some cotton candy and a couple other snacks. Then before I dropped them off at the Airbnb, they wanted to ride the Skyliner. So we took the Skyliner from Hollywood to Caribbean Beach and then transferred onto the Epcot line and then all the way back. And it was just cool to show them like, oh yeah, this is this resort, that resort. You know, you could also take the boat if you wanted to, like all that kind of stuff. So they really enjoyed that. Then I dropped them off at the Airbnb and then we were done.
Cool.
Yeah. It was a whirlwind of a trip. 4 days in a row with big parties is hard.
Yes. 4 days in a row is hard, period. And then adding the just the sheer quantity of people that we had, definitely. And the sheer amount of shuffling that had to be done. Like so and so has to be at the airport at this time, so someone has to take them to leave the park with them to take them there. And that happened multiple days. So
storing luggage in the park. All sorts of weird things came up this trip. But you know, considering all of those factors, I would say, I know you're only in the park for 1 day, but considering all those factors, I think everything went pretty smoothly.
Yeah. Our oldest cousin and I were both working when we were there, and we were not leaving our work laptops in the car while we went to Epcot. So we obviously had to do the extra security screening because I have an entire MacBook and all the peripherals in my backpack. And so we ended up renting a locker. Both backpacks, mine and our cousins, fit in one large locker. So we ended up sharing a locker for the day. He went and got his when he left for the airport with mom and dad. And then I went and got mine at the end of the day. Locker rentals for laptops worked out really well.
Yeah. There was something else I was going to say too. I think it helped with particularly this group of people, you know, it being family. They've been to Disneyland with us many times before. I think it helped that they are follow CJ, follow Alli, follow mom and dad. they just trust us to get them to where they need to be. And they're not saying, well, I want to do this. Well, I want to do that. It's like, they're just, you know, we ask them like, what are some things that you guys want to do? Give us some ideas so we can build the day. And so we were able to go around that way and get them to basically everything that they wanted to do. I think the only thing that we really missed was Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, and Rock and Roller Coaster was closed. Like it hadn't reopened from refurbishment yet. And we missed Flight of Passage. So as far as like big rides go, those are the only things we missed.
Yeah, and Test Track was also closed. Yes. That was something that I know a lot of our cousins wanted to do, but were unable to. You couldn't get on Tiana's because it was AP previews only still.
Right.
And then didn't do Soarin', but I don't think we really missed out on anything there.
No, they had all said, oh, I remember that from California. Like they weren't like super gung-ho about wanting to do it. So
yeah.
So for you, what was a highlight and low light? Because you already asked me.
So a low light was Test Track being closed.
Yeah, that's a bummer.
I mean, and another low light was that like your family kept getting sick, so like we didn't get to have everybody together. There was zero opportunity to get everybody together, so that was kind of a low light. Highlight, Family of the Day was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Three Caballeros is always a highlight for me. Boarding group for Guardians and getting a different song. That's the highest highlight was, and spoilers for Guardians coming up. Me and our youngest cousin were sitting in row 9 for Guardians, and then when we turned around, I turned to her and I said, "Weird, we're in the front row now. Huh, that's so interesting."
Yeah.
And then the ride started.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I was gonna ask, when's the next time you're coming out here?
September. I have a 4-day trip booked.
Yeah, just about 2 months from now, 2.5 months.
Yeah. We're very interested to find out what the pricing is going to look like for the new multi-pass and single passes. We are planning on getting several of those because we're going to be a party of 4. It's me and my husband and my best friend and her partner. And he has not been to any Disney World before. He's been to Disneyland. I don't know if they got to DCA or not, but as far as I know, he has only been to Disneyland. So there's a lot of new stuff for him, and he loves roller coasters. He's also devastated that Test Track is down because he's a big car guy. So unfortunately, that means Tomorrowland Speedway is on our must-do list.
God, I'm so sorry.
It'll be fine. But yeah,
hopefully it's not really hot, and maybe you should save that for when you're doing the Halloween party so it's not super hot.
We'll see what happens, and we'll come back in a couple of weeks from now when the first people who are getting the new multi-pass have been able to purchase it and see what things look like.
Yeah. I think our cousins are planning to come back sometime during the winter. I don't know if it's this winter or next winter, but keep that in mind.
Okay.
All right. Anything else you want to add about the big Cousin Palooza trip?
Cousins, if you're listening, please practice your mini golfing, because we'll do it again, and you guys have to be better at it, okay? Just practice.
Yes. All right, shall we get to today's comparison?
Boy, it's been a long... You said it was going to be a quick trip report.
Yeah, I don't think it was that in-depth.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, so what are we comparing today, Allie?
Hold your breath, because we're going under the sea.
And then we're going the Little Mermaid.
So these rides, although they are exactly the same, they have 2 different names. At California Adventure, it is The Little Mermaid, Ariel's Undersea Adventure. And at Magic Kingdom, it is Under the Sea, The Journey of the Little Mermaid.
Why is there a name difference? I don't know.
I don't know either.
I don't know. But let's talk about our favorite things about each of these. Allie, what's your favorite thing about the California Adventure version?
Ursula.
How come? Like, what about Ursula?
Ursula swam so that the Navi River Journey shaman could shaman.
Okay, so you appreciate the Imagineering behind the animatronic.
Yeah, it's really technically advanced.
Yes, I remember when that ride opened thinking like, wow, this is amazing.
Yes.
Okay. My favorite thing about the DCA version is there's typically no line, so if it's hot outside, you can just hop in line. It's a quick way to cool off with little wait.
Not my experience in November when I went, but you know.
What about the Magic Kingdom version?
I promise I didn't copy your answer. I watched an entire ride through, and I think that the queue is really cool.
The queue is very, very amazing. The queue is spectacular and a very it's one of the better ones, I think, in Magic Kingdom.
And I don't know if you like it for the same reasons that I do, so I'm going to tell you the reasons that I like it. It's because it takes you on a journey before you get on the ride, and it really immerses you in where you are and being in the story.
You think that I like the queue for reasons other than storyline?
I mean, I can't see inside your brain, CJ.
Okay, the whole time we've done this podcast, I've been all about the story and how good is the story of this, and I think this is another queue that tells a good story. So yeah, It's about the story for me. And it's also just really pretty, like the waterfall and stuff. It's just really visually pretty.
Yeah, go to the bathroom before getting into this queue because you will hear the sound of rushing water.
and things may happen. Yes.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk opening dates. Allie, when did the California Adventure version of this attraction open?
Its soft opening was May 26, 2011, and the full opening was just a week later on June 3rd, 2011.
Fun fact, I was there for the opening day of this attraction. It was the same day that the Star Tours relaunch happened when they updated the ride. We did 3 hours for the Little Mermaid at DCA.
Was it worth it?
You know, it's always fun to be there opening day for a new ride, so I would say yes.
Okay.
All right. At Magic Kingdom, this version had its soft opening October 12th, 2012, with its full opening on December 6th, 2012.
Do you know why there was such a gap between the soft and the full opening?
You know, I would suspect it has to do with the fact that in Magic Kingdom, I'm sorry, soft versus full, I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, I don't need to get in between, like, yeah, there's a year and a half between these attractions opening at DCA and Magic Kingdom. I think Magic Kingdom had more work to do on the area.
Yes. Yeah, because at Magic Kingdom, it was in, you know, an old area of Fantasyland that needed to be demolished, reworked, whatever, versus DCA, it was in a building that had a theater in it. So clear out the seats, screens, projectors, and you've just got an empty building to work with, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's talk about fun facts, history, trivia. Allie, kick us off.
Yeah, I have some generic fun facts first. So there were plans to have a Little Mermaid attraction in Paris in the mid-90s, but that didn't pan out. It was also included in early plans for Tokyo Disney Sea and Hong Kong Disneyland, and those also didn't pan out. However, on the 2006 Platinum Edition DVD of The Little Mermaid, you could watch a computer-generated ride-through animatic. I have not seen this, but I would be very interested to see what it is versus what we have.
Yeah, that would be very cool.
All right, so on to some DCA-specific facts. This attraction used to be Golden Dreams, a film about the history of California, and that closed September 7th, 2008. And the King Triton above the ride's entry used to be in the water at Disneyland by what is now Pixie Hollow. I remember that. He'd squirt water at you, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. I didn't know they reused it. Good for that. All right. The DCA version of this attraction features a hidden Mr. Limpet fish. Now, you may be wondering, what on earth, or under the sea, is a Mr. Limpet fish? Well, Mr. Limpet is from a film called The Incredible Mr. Limpet. I am surprised that none of you have seen it. Like, it is a classic 1964 Warner Brothers comedy. Mr. Limpet was a fish-loving bookkeeper married to a woman named Bessie. Mr. Limpet fell into the water off of Coney Island and got turned into a fish, and he fell in love with a fish named Ladyfish. And he makes a cameo in the Little Mermaid movie, played by Don Knotts, who wears round glasses in the movie, so the fish wears round glasses. Why is he in the Little Mermaid ride? Well, he makes a cameo in the Little Mermaid movie, but also the character designer and animation director was Vladimir Bill Titla, I'm not sure. There's a Y there. I'm not sure how to say that. But he also worked on Chernabog from Fantasia, Stromboli from Pinocchio, and Baby Dumbo Taking a Bath. And Mr. Limpet Fish's inclusion in the movie is an homage to this animator.
Yeah, so why they have it in the DCA version but not the Magic Kingdom version, I don't know. But do you know in the ride where to find him?
I would think it would be under the sea.
Yeah, so when your clamshell is facing Ariel in the under the sea scene, like kind of turn around and look to your right, and he's hiding kind of behind the clamshells.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, I have some Magic Kingdom fun facts, actually just one, and some generic fun facts. So, firstly, on Mickey's birthday, November 18th, every year at noon Eastern Time, the sun aligns with gaps in the rocks to project a silhouette of Mickey's head and ears into the queue.
That's pretty cool.
I would love to go see that. So, maybe one of these years it'll line up with when I can go. The Ursula animatronic, which you were talking about earlier, is 7.5 feet tall and 12 feet wide. So a very large animatronic. And overall, there's about 183 animatronics in this ride. And each clamshell weighs about 1,635 pounds. There's 105 of them total, and 2 of them you can roll a wheelchair right onto. So that's pretty cool. And some of the scenes from this ride include original vocal performances from the film, including Jodie Benson as Ariel and Pat Carroll as Ursula.
Fantastic.
All right. Where is the ride located in DCA?
In Paradise Gardens Park, across from the World of Color viewing area.
And in Magic Kingdom, it's in the area known as New Fantasyland, kind of between Storybook Circus and Gaston's Tavern, behind the Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. Let's talk about the queue and the exterior.
At DCA, the exterior is modeled after a 20th century aquarium. The facade is the same as it was when it was the old Golden Dreams movie. There's a round dome building that is a replica of the Bernard Maybeck facade of the Palace of Fine Arts constructed for the 1915 Panama Pacific Exposition. However, they changed the color. It used to be earth toned and is now off-white and blues with a portrait of Ariel near the attractions marquee. You go back and forth through some switchbacks outside in the queue. Part of it is covered. Not all of it is covered. In the floor, if you look down, there's like seashells embedded in it. And you eventually enter the building through a big glass wall with a wavy motif to get to the boarding area.
At Magic Kingdom, it's pretty different. This is supposed to be Prince Eric's castle. And outside, it's kind of like a shipwreck / lighthouse theme. And you walk to and through a cave. And then throughout the queue, there's actually an interactive scavenger hunt with Scuttle leading the way. So you'll see little animated crabs crawling around, lots of little trinkets and stuff like this. The boarding zone has cave walls on one side, but arches and columns where you board on the other side, kind of like you're in a palace that's in the cave. Wow, something banged in the background there.
Yeah, I don't know what that was.
Anyways,
I'm just going to mute my mic and check that out.
Okay, on both coasts in the boarding zone, there's a painting of Ariel sitting on a rock daydreaming about, I don't know, whatever she dreams about, being part of the world, I guess. But let's move on to talking about the music in the area and queue. So some fun facts about the music. A gentleman named Danny Trube adapted Alan Menken's original songs for the attraction, and he wrote new orchestral medleys for the loading area, as well as transitional cues in the finale medley. So, Allie, why don't you talk about the music in the DCA version?
Yeah, when you're outside, it's mostly ambient theme park noises, but inside you get the safety spiel and some instrumental soundtracks.
At Magic Kingdom, it's kind of like nautical sounding flute music and instrumental soundtrack. But when you're outside, you're basically just going to hear the waterfall. Once you get inside the cave, there's wind sound effects, seabirds making sounds, water droplets, tide sounds, and the music, which slowly becomes more ethereal, and eventually you get to the point where it's basically just the soundtrack. Instrumental soundtrack, I should say.
Yes.
All right, the ride vehicles are the same for each park, so why don't you talk about that?
Yeah, they are colorful clamshells, very similar to the Nemo ride at Epcot. They sit a very tight 3 adults, but a comfortable 2 adults. CJ has squeezed a party of 4 in there, 2 adults with 2 lap sitters. And then we have the 2 wheelchair accessible vehicles that look under the sea-ish. I don't know what that means. CJ wrote that. I'm just reading it.
They have like a starfish on the front.
Okay.
Like it looks like, you know, when King Triton has his little underwater chariot.
Yeah, okay.
That's what it looks like.
All right.
All right, let's talk about the storyline and just know that they're exactly the same.
Yeah, so they start out with Scuttle introducing you to the tale of Ariel. He is very confused about it. He keeps starting it over. It's all very Scuttle. Your clamshell turns around and tilts back, and you get the water effect of you're going under the sea. There's various fish and seaweed, and Ariel sings part of your world and is surrounded by trinkets and a Sebastian popping up in different places. Then you go under the sea. Sebastian tries to get Ariel to stay under the sea. It's very fun. There's lots of fish, lots of dancing. Ariel dances as well. Then we enter Ursula's cave. It's very spooky. Flotsam and Jetsam are taunting, kind of, out front. You get to the impressive Ursula animatronic, and she sings Poor Unfortunate Souls. When Ariel turns into a human, and we get to see the animation of that. Then next we jump way far in the story where Ariel and Eric almost kiss with Kiss the Girl. And then the next scene, Ariel is singing this, Ursula is dying in the background, and Ariel and Eric are actually kissing during the thing. Then we get to the finale scene where there's fireworks, fish friends, and King Triton all waving goodbye to Ariel as she is getting married to Prince Eric in her wedding dress. And then Scuttle is like, and that's how the story, it's exactly what happens. And then you get off the ride.
Yep, Magic Kingdom's exactly the same. Really, the key differences here are Mr. Limpet exists in the California Adventure version, and Ursula is getting way more violently electrocuted in the Magic Kingdom version, like complete with like zzz noises.
Yeah, you can see her rib cage. It's like there's X-rays and stuff. It's surprising, to be quite honest.
And I don't know. I don't understand why it's like that in one park and not the other.
Yeah.
You have Mr. Limpet in one and a violent electrocution in the other. I just don't understand why it's not consistent. But anyways. All right, for the exit queue experience, Allie.
Yep, at DCA, you disembark your clamshell near where you boarded and you exit under the dome.
Yep, at Magic Kingdom, you disembark the clamshell near where you boarded, same thing. But you head out through a cave-like exit, which puts you out in New Fantasyland near the Ariel meet and greet location. How convenient.
Yeah, funny how that works. No height requirements for these rides, and they are both open during nighttime entertainment.
They're both open during the rain, and they both offer Lightning Lane, but neither one offers single rider.
Makes sense.
So with that, it's time for the final showdown. Does one Little Mermaid ride stand out above the crowd? Allie, where are you on this one?
You know, the tides are about even because the ride is the same. So it really has to come down to atmosphere, like surrounding it. Look, the DCA version, like that atmosphere fits where it is in the park. But the atmosphere of Magic Kingdom fits the story of The Little Mermaid a lot better. So I think I would have to give it to Magic Kingdom just based on vibes.
I'm also giving it to Magic Kingdom, but mine is because of the queue. I think the queue tells a better story. I think they had this idea for a ride and they were looking for a place to put it, and they kind of shoehorned the 20th century aquarium theme into the pier area. Not that it doesn't fit, it just seems like it just doesn't seem right for that part of the park. I mean, it's right by the San Francisco kind of house looking area, and then the redwoods are right there around the corner from it. So I don't know. To me, the placement is a little odd, and I think it makes a lot more sense in Magic Kingdom for a lot of reasons. And I also think that they were able to build a much more elaborate queue than the California version. That's not to say that it's a bad ride at DCA. It's a fine ride at DCA, and I think it fills a gap because there are not that many rides without height requirements at that park. So I think it's good that it's there. I just like it better in Magic Kingdom.
Fair enough.
All right. What are we talking about next episode, Allie?
We have it classified as the Pixar Flat Spinners. So that includes Mater's Junkyard Jamboree at DCA, Alien Swirling Saucers at Hollywood Studios, and we may or may not talk about Luigi's Flying Tires. Is it still called Flying Tires? The Luigi's ride at What is it called now?
Gosh, I'm
Oh wait,
blanking on
it's Luigi's Rollickin' Roadsters.
That's right. Thank you.
Yeah, Luigi's Rollickin' Roadsters is a possibility. You know, Mater's and Alien Swirling Saucers are the same ride, and Luigi's is very, very different.
And Luigi's
So
has an interesting history, so I think it would be fun to talk about.
we definitely need to talk about it at some point, but I don't
Yes.
know when.
Okay.
Maybe next time. We'll see. TBD.
I mean, it's a Pixar themed and it does spin.
And it is flat.
Yes. So
It's not a great ride.
there's no time like now.
Okay.
I found that so funny. All right. Well, thank you for joining us on another episode of the Park to Park podcast. I hope you enjoyed our trip report as well as our, discussion of The Little Mermaid. Tell us what you think. Do you have a preference over The Little Mermaid as far as which one is better? You can let us know in the comments. You can reach out to us on Instagram at park2parkpod with the number 2. You can send us an email at park2parkpod@gmail.com, again with the number 2. And I think that subscribe, give us stars and thumbs up and all that fun stuff.
Yep, all of the above, please. Thank you.
And we will see you all next time. We'll see you all. SCA. Ha ha ha. Okay, bye.